Welcome to the regular council meeting of Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 at 4:50 p.m. in council chambers and via Zoom. Item number 1 is call to order in a moment of silence at 4:50. Item number 2, land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the town of Kirkland Lake is located on traditional and unceded territory of Indigenous peoples. We recognize the presence of these Indigenous people in our community since time immemorial and honor their stewardship and care of these lands. We hereby affirm our continued commitment and responsibility to reconciliation. Item number 3, approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen.
Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 be approved as circulated and amended as follows. Item number 10.1 and 10.2 be deferred due to compelling public interest in order to allow for the agreements of purchase and sale to be presented with the proposed execution bylaw. An updated version of the official plan review background report modifications made to section 5 of attachment 1, pages 19 to 22 be presented in relation to item 8.1. An auditor's reporting letter dated November 18th, 2025 be presented along with respective modification to the proposed recommendation in relation to item 8.4, and an amendment on the floor to further defer items 8.4, 8.5, and 8.6 in absentia of the treasurer.
All in favor?
I had a question.
Question, Councillor Dykens.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. I have a question. I want to withdraw, rather than defer my notice of motion, 8.9.1. Just withdraw, please.
Thank you, so noted. Councillor Owens.
Madam Mayor, in the agenda we received for one of those reports, I'm glad it's pulled, not 100% sure why it's pulled, but it says, and I quote, approval of the audited financial statements will allow the town to distribute the statement of key stakeholders and to remain compliant with conditions of various grants, government agencies, and borrowing arrangements. What's the timeline on that? So if we pull it today, what happens?
Thank you for that question. Do we have a member on staff that can answer that question?
Yes.
Welcome, Director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through your council. Yes, so we do have guidelines and timelines to meet for our banking facilities. We are past and another 2 weeks is okay. We were trying to push it forward just to try and get it in place. And the same thing with the like the government agencies and that kind of thing. We are at a point where they will hold back going forward. Just funds, we won't lose them, but they'll hold until we get it in place. So it would have been better, but we'll be okay.
Have a follow-up.
Yeah, sorry, just give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm okay with that. So why was it rushed to have it passed to us without having the auditors come to us tonight? If we can wait 2 weeks, why couldn't we just do that to start off with? Because I felt, I'll be honest, I felt uncomfortable when I saw the agenda. Every other board I've sat on, like THU, whatever, we have the auditors there. We can ask if there's a question that they ask us at the start of that meeting that is quite important to answer. And we weren't getting that opportunity. So I just find, I'm glad we're pushing it back. I don't necessarily need an answer, but I'm glad we're pushing it back for that reason.
Okay, so I do appreciate that. And I can speak to the alternative that was presented to myself as head of council. I was to receive a phone call from the auditor to speak to any concerns that I had as the CEO of the community. So any concerns or questions that came up at the table would have been forwarded via email at the time. So that was plan A. However, due to the changes. Can we speak to that issue?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to council, originally we thought of moving this forward quickly. However, after some more conversation, internal conversation, the process that felt would best suit council would be to defer this and have the auditor here to answer questions directly. So it was an internal decision that after review, we then said this be best to defer this before.
Thank you. Councillor Shabbat, you had your hand raised?
Well, I'll leave that topic alone, because I've never, if I can just follow up a little bit, I've never seen, us not have the auditor here for us to ask all our questions, but that opportunity will arise in the future, well, we're certainly look forward to it. To you, Madam Mayor, I'm not really on board with the, deferral of, items 10.1 and 10.2. I mean, that is compelling public interest. I've read all the correspondence relating to this and whatnot. I'm not too sure why we have to defer this. I mean, I think all the T's have been crossed, dots have been dotted. So if someone can explain to us for more, maybe there's something I'm missing.
Thank you for that question. Madam Clerk will answer to that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to Councilor Shabbat and the whole of council. The agreement of purchase and sale that we are waiting for from the purchaser's solicitor has not been received by the municipality. Typically, we wait until we receive the executed agreement of purchase and sale before we present the bylaws. They did not come. Therefore, I felt it was compelling public interest that we have received them before we put the bylaw in front of council for a first and second, third reading.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions about the amendment of the agenda? None noted. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Thank you. Item number 4, declaration of pecuniary interest. None noted at the table. Item number 5, civic petitions. There are none this evening. Item number 6, delegations and presentations. Again, this evening there are none. Item number 7, approval and acceptance of minutes, moved by Councillor Shabbat, seconded by Councillor Rick Owens.
Be it
Rick
resolved,
Owens.
sorry. Be it resolved that the council approve the minutes of the following meeting, minutes of the regular meeting of council held November 4th, 2025.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 8, reports from municipal officers and staff. 8.1, official plan review, background report. This will be presented by Jenna McNaughton, planning administrator, and she will welcome our contractors. Moved by Councillor Kylie and seconded by Councillor Ranger. Thank you.
Be it resolved that the report number 2025 DEV 30 entitled official plan review background report be received for information.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and to the council. I'm here for our official plan review background report. So as part of the procedure for updating the town's official plan, this background report that's being presented is a foundational document that's going to analyze the existing conditions and the necessary research and review of the studies, policies, and future vision for land use and growth of the municipality. So once again, we have our consultants from JL Richards, David Wellwood here, and I believe Tara as well. Tara Nishoville. So they'll be presenting the overview of the draft background report and the directions.
Thanks very much, Jenna, for that introduction. And thanks again, Madam Mayor and members of council for having us here. It was just a couple of weeks ago, I think we had the special meeting of council. We've since received feedback on our draft background report from staff. And so this is your opportunity to review the report as part of your agenda package and just kind of go over and ask any questions you have either tonight, or feel free to provide other questions later on in writing. So I don't see the slides in front of me. So Jenna, I will just say next slide when it's time to transition the slide, or do you want me to share my screen? What's your preference?
David, it's Jen, and if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen, I think it would
Sharing?
be.
Sure, I can do that. That's fine.
Thank you.
I need to send a request to share, which I've done. So I believe someone just has to, there we go. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna expand current slide. Okay. So we're just gonna do another overview of the project so far. We'll go through the very high level, the background report and its different topics and some of its key findings. And then we'll have a look at next steps and turn it over to you for any questions. So why are we doing this? There's a whole host of different planning legislation that's been passed in the past, even in the past 5 years. I was going to say in the past 10 years, but since your official plan came into effect, there's been the Planning Act seems to change every year at least once. So really, this is an opportunity to align your official plan with all these different pieces of legislation. I'm not going to name them individually, but it is a lot. And so it's important that your official plan be kept up to date. In fact, the Planning Act requires that it be kept up to date and be revised 10 years after it comes into effect as a new official plan. And we also need to be consistent with the provincial planning statement, which is a policy document that's issued under the Planning Act that all municipalities in Ontario need to be consistent with. I'll turn it over to Tara. She's going to give a brief overview of the project, and we'll bounce back and forth a little bit in this presentation.
Dave, good evening, everybody. Hoping you can all hear me okay. Yes. So the official plan project is, we've divided it into 5 different phases. The project initiation, phase 1, is complete at the moment. We are just at the end of phase 2 with the background research and public consultation. Phase 3 is public engagement, and it's not specifically a stop and a start. It sort of goes throughout the entire process. And then once we are finished with the background presentation tonight, and we have an opportunity to receive more comments or questions and respond to those, we will begin working on drafting the official plan. And so that will involve consultation with staff, any of the council who want to keep up with the comments. And then once we have that draft plan in place, we will send it to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. They have about a 90-day review period. And during that period, they're going to take a look at some of the recommendations that they gave to us in our phase 1 phase and make sure that we've incorporated everything that needed to be put into it. At the end of that, we will have a STAT public open house where the public, stakeholders, anyone interested will be welcome to come and take a look at the draft. And at that point, we can discuss anything outstanding, but also we can review some questions or comments that we might get at that time as well. And then from there, phase 5 will be the drafting of the final official plan, which will also include another public meeting and submission to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing for approval. So some of the background materials that we took a look at during this report that we drafted include, as Dave said, some of the legislation changes that have happened within the past 5 to 10 years, which includes the provincial planning statement, one of our guiding documents for these types of things. We also took a look at Ministry of Finance population estimates. Those came out as recently as this summer, and so they're the ones who are setting the standard across the province that everyone is supposed to be taking a look at. We've also reviewed the current official plan and marked it up a little bit to show where we need to add and delete some of the current policies. We've also reviewed some of the other town documents. So the Parks and Trails Plan, any lakeshore capacity assessments that have gone on, economic development, and tourism strategy plans. We will be discussing or consulting with the District of Temiskaming Social Services Admin Board. And we've also taken into consideration comments that we received from what's called a one window meeting, where we sit down with all interested ministries that may have input into your official plan, so that they can give us comments specific to the town. So in general, topics that we've taken a look at in this background report are going to include growth and housing, economic development, protecting the natural environment, climate change, urban settlement areas, rural areas, recreation, parks and open space, mineral and aggregate resources, servicing and transportation, cultural heritage and archaeology, and protecting public health and safety. So our presentation tonight, we're not going to get into all the details of all of the topics, but we're going to touch on some of the main findings that we found and some of the important things that we need to incorporate into the new official plan. So if we take a look at the growth and housing, what we learned is that by the year 2051, the population is forecast to increase by about 1%. That's not too surprising, but it's also, it's not one of those numbers that is going to be hard and fast, I guess is the best way to say it. There are a lot of different things that can happen, especially with provincial changes, federal, the projects that they just announced this week and last week. So that can bring a lot of opportunity to the Kirkland Lake area for sure. So based on that, the 1% increase, there are sufficient vacant lands that exist already to accommodate any projected growth. That means that the projected housing needs will include about 267 new units in the settlement areas and about 89 new units in the rural areas. Jobs are expected to grow in line with the population and likely in the key sectors of mining, healthcare, and retail. So some of the recommended directions for the growth in housing would be to consider a land swap between the two settlement areas. We touched on that a little bit in our presentation a couple of weeks ago, and Dave will mention it a little bit later as to what that may involve. We also need to look at establishing intensification targets and density targets, and to be updating the affordable housing policies. When we take a look at economic development in the town, we learned that it has a diverse economy, mining, tourism, and services being the main industries, that the strategic plan focuses on infrastructure and tourism, and it's encouraging downtown development. There's also important consideration for protecting the environment and shorelines. So some of the recommended directions are going to include designating employment areas, prohibiting incompatible uses, and updating accessibility policies. And taking a quick, brief look at the natural environment and how that can be protected, you can see a draft schedule that we've put on the side there. Not complete, but gives you a little bit of an idea of what some of the changes that have happened since the last official plan. So we learned that the natural environment is an important part of Kirkland Lake's identity, and the current official plan protects wetlands, fish habitat, and wildlife areas. Some of the recommended directions we have are to connect with our GIS team who drafted this for us, and we're going to be updating any of the recommended areas, species, and policies that we received during the one window report. Climate change is an important piece to official plans. It's not something that's been at the forefront for a number of years, but it is something that needs to be considered in every official plan. And so what we learned is that climate is predicted to increase the average annual temperature and the annual precipitation in Kirkland Lake. So over the next, we projected it out, we go 10 years and then we take another 10 years and then we project it further out. And obviously that's not new for anyone that we're going to be seeing warmer temperatures and higher precipitation rates. Some of the recommended directions that we think should go into the new official plan will include adding mitigation strategies for climate change, promoting energy efficient development, and encouraging renewable energy projects within the town.
Okay, thanks very much, Tara. I'll take the next few slides. So Tara talked about the Ministry of Finance projections, and we previously talked about the methodology for determining whether to add lands or remove lands from settlement areas. Those are elaborated on in the report in a lot more detail than we have in the presentation tonight. So have a look at those sections of the report and let us know if you have any comments. But essentially, your official plan currently designates 2 urban settlement areas. One is Swastika and one is Kirkland Lake. And then there's a variety of lands that are outside of those settlement areas, which are considered rural lands. So really, when we talk about population growth projections, the PPS directs most development to fully serviced urban settlement areas. We due to the population growth projections we've received, we note that there's only a very limited amount of growth that is anticipated if you look strictly at the Ministry of Finance projections. However, you know and we know that there is additional mining activity in the area that is not perhaps captured by the Ministry of Finance. Looking at this, we've projected a need for an additional 267 household units over the planning horizon. Another, in order to accommodate that, we've suggested a land swap, which meets the PPS requirement of planning in line with the Ministry of Finance projections, while also accommodating the sufficient land needs over the planning horizon. So looking at the left-hand map, we've proposed removing certain lands from Swastika that are either not easily accessible by roads, the smaller area that's 4 hectares that's located to the east of the creek, and also some lands further north that were considered to have some land use compatibility concerns with those, in favor of lands that are located south of Balsam Avenue, to add 18 hectares of land that could be used for a future residential plan subdivision. This development in these areas would be linked to targets for intensification in your urban settlement area. So I mentioned rural areas. This is the majority of your land base. This is just a picture of all the vacant rural parcels of land in the municipality. A lot of these are not accessible by public roads, so we didn't factor them all into our calculations. Most development in your rural area centers on resource extraction, so mining, some forestry, very limited agriculture, and some minor residential development, particularly along your Goodfish Lake and Nettie Lake. Our recommended direct policy directions are to update the rural lot size requirement to 1 hectare for new lots, which is in line with guidance from the Ministry of the Environment, and to encourage water quality protection and vegetative buffers along shorelines, and generally encourage sustainable development. Recreation, parks, and open space. So your current OP has policies for the development and protection of outdoor spaces, and there's already an extensive trail system in the community. The policies also support the creation of community gardens. We recommend some minor updates to these policies and the schedules to account for any changes to the public outdoor spaces that are in the community, as well as providing new policies to encourage public shoreline access. Mineral and aggregate resources. So mineral resources are a key economic driver in your community. The current official plan addresses mining hazards and regulates development adjacent to those mining hazards. So we've recommended a variety of policy updates just to reflect updated language in the provincial planning statement. We've also consulted with the Ministry of Mines, we've added policies requiring consultation with the Ministry of Mines for any development projects occurring in proximity to a mine hazard. And this involves the planning staff basically picking up the phone to the Ministry of Mines and just inquiring as to the actual nature of the hazard so we can understand, is this actually a hazard or is it something very manageable? We also recommend updating the buffer distances on the schedules and updating policies for rehabilitation of certain mine hazards prior to development. Moving on to protecting public health and safety. There are already policies in your official plan on hazardous lands, including mine hazards, flooding, policies for wildland fire. We recommend updating these in accordance with new information that we've received from our provincial ministries during our one window meeting. We also recommend that this will involve mapping changes to the extent of some of these hazards. And we recommend referring to some of the technical studies that are required where development is proposed adjacent to hazard lands or in hazard lands. We mentioned climate change a little bit earlier. So one of the other things that climate change does is it does exacerbate the risk posed to public health and safety due to extreme weather events. So there are policies that we're recommending to factor that into how we plan for infrastructure in the community, making sure new development is designed in a manner that considers what might happen in a major storm situation. Some additional considerations are there have been several provincial and legislative policies that have changed policy changes to other areas of planning. So there was revised provincial park requirements surrounding parkland dedication or cash in lieu of parkland dedication. There are revised Heritage Act requirements that impact how we protect heritage resources in the community. And there are revised requirements for site plan control and when it can be used and how it can be used, as well as a changing list of provincial interests. Also, we will see increased number of policies that highlight the importance of Kirkland Lake's relationship with Indigenous communities. And we have already been reaching out to Indigenous communities to try to take that step towards reconciliation and trying to accommodate any of their interests in this process that may come up. So we've met with Matachewan First Nation and just kind of provided an outline of the planning program at the outset of the project. And they've expressed an interest in providing some feedback on the background report as well as the draft official plan policies when they're available. I'll turn it back over to you, Tara.
Thanks. So what we're looking at now, our next steps are going to involve drafting the official plan based on any feedback we've received. We have received some comments and we hope to get more comments, questions, anything. We're really happy that people would want to engage with this process, and we know how important it is for the council to make sure that this makes things easier as you're working on your planning applications into the future. Then we're going to send our draft documents to staff and to the ministry for review. And the town has developed a really nice official plan review site on your town website. So that keeps everyone in line with where we are, next steps that are coming up, and ways to connect if you want to submit any comments or questions. There's going to be at least 2 more opportunities for the public to review and submit input. It'll be a STAT open house and another STAT public meeting coming up. Like we were saying, if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to Jenna, but also to us as well. Our email address are included on the last page, and we can be reached. Email's the best way, but happy to take phone calls or whatever works best for people.
Great. Thanks very much. I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Mayor and members of council.
Thank you. Jenna, do you have anything to add before I open the table? No? Any comments or questions for our consultants? Councillor Owen.
Yes, through you, your worship, last time our consultants were here, I raised a number of questions about settlement areas. Jenna called me over after the meeting and read me the riot act. No, she explained to me what I didn't understand. And I have no concerns about the changes in settlement areas. So thank you, Jenna. My apologies to the consultants if I was a little rough, but
Grace,
when you don't know, you have to ask, right?
absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Nothing else noted. Thank you very much for your time this evening, and we look forward to working with you again as the process moves along. Thank you very much. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item is carried unanimous. Have a good night, folks. Thank you so much for your time. Item number 8.2, proposed transition to a corporate leased fleet management program. This will be delivered by Sean McCart, Director of Corporate Services, moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Janice Ranger.
Be it resolved that report number 25/4.4 entitled Proposed Transition to a Corporate Lease Fleet Management Program be received, that council authorize the transition of the town's in-house light duty fleet management to a corporate leased ownership model under a fleet management program, and that a supplemental report be presented to council on December 2nd, 2025, identifying the terms and conditions of a service agreement between the town and Enterprise Fleet Management Inc. And finally, that an execution bylaw be presented for 3 readings on December 2nd, 2025.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will have the director and our consultant to come forward. Sean, I will just have you give a brief introduction.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Council. Yes, so we'll move forward with the town's proposing transitioning the light fleet duty to commercial leasing model. Today we have our fleet management consultant here, Nathan Pileski. He will go through a presentation that will be up on the screen and go through basically what it's all about and what they accomplish. And then I'll have a bit of conversation at the end.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, councilors. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time this afternoon. So my name is Nathan. I'm a Pulaski Client Strategy Manager with Enterprise Fleet Management and a fellow Northerner as well. I'm coming to you today through our awarded tender through LAS, AMO, Canoe Procurement Group of Canada, and also most recently through an awarded tender with the OACM just as of this year to provide professional fleet management services to municipalities across Ontario. And what's brought us here today is a culmination of several meetings, beginning 9 months ago approximately with staff members Van Horton, Sean McCart, and Lloyd Crocker. And we learned a lot about and had a great discussion about your current fleet program. We learned a lot about things like your current some of the challenges in acquiring new vehicles, some of the discussion about the vehicle's life cycle, aftermarket requirements, the utility of the fleet, maintenance processes, and finally the some of the challenges with the rate at which vehicle prices have increased and the challenges that has on capital budgets. So we did a comprehensive analysis on the fleet to see how Enterprise Fleet could help reduce costs and provide some additional infrastructure and support to the staff and to the team here. And so we'll just leave it here for a moment. We essentially do everything that you see on this wheel, from helping you acquire vehicles through to selling them, and if required, any of the in between as well. We do this through partnering with the local community, with local dealerships, with local shops, and help the town achieve your goals in the fleet by leveraging all of our resources and infrastructure that we built out. And most are familiar with our sister company, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. But in our division, we only work with governments and businesses who operate their own fleet of vehicles, and we help them do it for less. And we've partnered with about 50 municipalities in Ontario, with a few in the north as well. And the challenge we've seen over the last few years is we've seen an incredible increase in vehicle prices in the post-pandemic era, and that's caused a tremendous amount of pressure on capital budgets. Our offering works to help reduce costs and design the fleet really around your needs in the community, and stretch your budget to try and do a little more with less, and also provide you an administrative team that helps execute this fleet plan. I'm pleased to showcase those results, whereby we're able to save the town over $400,000 over the next 10 years. What we see on the screen here now is just a quick glimpse at what we're seeing in the industry over the last 12 months, which surprisingly, we've actually seen vehicle prices and the used market come down a little bit. Reason that's surprising is manufacturers have absorbed and will absorb over the course of 2025, $30 billion in tariffs. That being said, we do expect over the next model year, which will probably come out halfway through 2026, an increase to vehicle prices to the tune of 4 to 8%. Next screen, please. And now, even though vehicle prices have moderated a little bit over the last 12 months, here's a bit of a picture of what we've experienced in the last few years. With most notable in from 21 to 23, vehicle prices of a standard pickup truck, as you can see here, increasing almost as much as 70%. Thankfully, that's fallen over the last couple of years. But even on the other end of the spectrum of holding on to vehicles longer to try and combat the new vehicle prices hasn't really been great, because we've seen an increase of north of 42% in maintenance and repairs as well. So costs have risen dramatically, and our commitment is really to help proactively fleet plan and really get you the best price we can across the board. And we do this by having a really thoughtful strategy, and we start really by looking at the right tool for the job, is what we like to call the right vehicle. Next screen, please. This is a vehicle cost comparison tool that we use to compare multiple brands of the same vehicle. In this case, we're looking at a standard 1500 pickup truck, which is kind of the most commonly used vehicle here down this way. Now, we work with every manufacturer, to your size, and we have no bias to any particular manufacturer. But given the landscape of Kirkland Lake, I just focused on the manufacturers here that we have locally. And what we're looking at for you are basically our tools to capture all of the costs that go into these vehicles from a view of total cost of ownership. So we're looking at the vehicle's prices, we're looking at the operating expenses, maintenance, fuel, and we take all that, boil that down at the bottom to a cost per kilometer. And that allows us to provide really good, thoughtful recommendations to your staff in making decisions on what vehicles to purchase. Quick glimpse at the black line differentiates the same types of vehicles, but just the regular cab configuration on the left and a crew cab configuration on the right. And you can see that just through this, the Chevy Silverado compared to the Ford F-150 over 2026 model year is 15 cents per kilometer less. And at an average of 10,000 kilometers, that's $1,500 per vehicle per year of savings or reduced costs. Additionally, which is kind of a contradictory in thought, but it's actually cheaper to go with a crew cab configuration than it is the regular cab, which is often thought to be a cheaper model. So those are some of the considerations that we provide, along with if and when there's a potential conversation of things like hybrid or like EVs. And we also have the nice ability to compare that to ICE vehicles and really give you guys thoughtful and the team enough insight to make proper decisions for what you guys wish. Next screen, please. So we look at essentially, once we decide and recommend which of the best or which of the lowest cost vehicle, we look at the life cycle of a vehicle, and we do this through these three major costs, which basically cover most of the vehicle's costs, which is depreciation, maintenance, and fuel. And what we see over the life of a vehicle is that costs are actually very similar throughout the life of a vehicle. What really changes is where the money goes. Earlier on, it's heavily towards the vehicle's depreciation, and then later on in life, the vehicle's value is quite depreciated, and then the operating expenses pick up the tab with very expensive maintenance costs, some fuel degradation as well. But the other thing that we see is there is a point where there's an optimal time to actually replace that vehicle, and that's from a cost and productivity standpoint. Next slide, please. And this is me essentially quantifying those three lines for a 2026 Chevy Silverado. For the sake of time, I won't go through all of that, and I'll keep it quite high level, but we've calculated all of those costs that would go into that vehicle doing an average of 10,000 kilometers a year. And the blue column you can see is the cumulative effect when you hold a vehicle through its life cycle. And essentially what our crystal ball is showing us is that costs will steadily drop as you run that vehicle and hold it throughout its life until it hits year 5. And then at year 5, after that, it's essentially at its lowest cost. And then after that, it goes and starts to increase in cost. And so my job is to review this with your team every year. And as the market changes, as things change, vehicles change, your needs change, my job is to help make further recommendations to continuously improve this every year. Next, please. And so I mentioned we also want to help reduce costs, and we have an acquisition strategy that involves proactively planning and factory ordering vehicles. Essentially what that looks like is we look at ordering the vehicles that you need through the factory. We build them to your specifications so that we're omitting any additional options that you don't need to help keep costs in line with what you need. And then we order those through local dealerships. So we work with local dealerships to process those orders. And the graph that you see on this page shows you the comparison of ordering vehicles through the factory, which is the lower green line, compared to the same equivalent vehicles, purchasing them locally through just purchasing them outright at dealerships when they're already built, often because there's some additional options and whatnot in them. And you can see that regardless of where costs go, factory ordering, which is that lower green line, is always going to be more cost effective, helping reduce your cost versus just purchasing at a dealership. Next slide, please. So I took an example of a vehicle that you guys had purchased in 2025 and essentially did a comparison. And so I built the same vehicle through our system, matched up all of the options, so it's an identical vehicle. And if we factory ordered that for you, could have saved the municipality close to just under $5,000. Just to give you kind of insight into how that would look like. We're seeing an even bigger delta on standard pickup trucks. And then if we look at your operating expenses for a moment, next slide, please. If we can help, we'll make recommendations. Like using technology to make sure your maintenance is being done at the right time, connecting that with your internal shop or also external shops to help support your team. On the other hand, we won't make recommendations if it doesn't suit the needs of the town of Kirkland Lake. For example, you guys have on-site fuel, so it wouldn't make sense to discuss fuel options or different solutions there. But as long as you guys are aware that we do have multiple solutions to help bring to the municipality to help meet whatever goals that you guys do have. Next slide, please. Technology is really becoming essential into making informed decisions, and we provide a lot of solutions and a suite of solutions, technological solutions to help things like tractor maintenance records and spending, safety recalls, preventative maintenance alerts, and we weave that through all of our meetings that we have. We essentially meet with you guys 3 times a year to look at these different things to help make sure we're talking and bringing to light things and also helping celebrate some of the victories we've been having, and also look at some things that are being worked on still to date. Next slide, please. Now, before I get to the analysis, just wanted to briefly touch on stretching the budget and trying to do a little bit more with less. As I mentioned, vehicle prices increasing 35 to 70% in just a few years puts a lot of pressure on capital budgets. Forcing a lot of municipalities to make a decision to either defer replacements to a later time or dip into reserves to help continue that replacement cycle. So we look at it a little bit differently, and we recommend paying down the vehicle in line with its use. And so what that looks like is if you're no longer running a vehicle now for its entire life, we say, what's the point of paying for the entire vehicle? So the example that we're looking at on the screen is along the right-hand side is essentially a $50,000 vehicle that currently you would pay for in cash out of your capital budget, and then you would run it for the duration of its life. The challenge with that is because just simply the vehicle prices have gone up so much recently, it just costs more and more to do that now. So if you can just click once more, thank you very much. We kind of look at it a little bit differently. We combat that additional cost increase by, first of all, if we can understand what the best life cycle is for the vehicle, we structure the funding around that. And in this example that we're looking at a 4-year cycle on this vehicle. And that $50,000, instead of paying all $50,000, we're only gonna pay $40,000 of it, leaving $10,000 remaining, which essentially equates to $10,000 a year. What that does is that helps us conserve cash flow. Essentially, if you're paying now $10,000 per year for that same vehicle, you could essentially replace up to 5 vehicles for the same amount of cash. And then we sell that vehicle at the end of that term, and in this case being 4 years. It's a pickup truck. We valued it between 30 and 35,000, so we took the midpoint of 32.5. We pay off the remaining balance of $10,000 owing, and then we give the town of Kirkland Lake the balance. In this example, $22,500. You can do whatever you want with that money, take it in a cap and take it in a check, or what a lot of our municipal partners do is they take those funds that they actually roll up to the next vehicle. And it works as sort of like almost like a down payment, but not coming from you guys, it's coming from the equity of your vehicles. And if done really well, over time, your costs actually will come down because the next vehicle's got this nice down payment applied to it. So your next vehicle's costs are significantly lower while resetting all the operational, costs going back to zero from getting a new vehicle. And so that's essentially the way we can stretch out the budget dollars and do a little bit more for less without having to really spend a lot of money on vehicles. Next slide, please. So we built a transitionary fleet plan over a 5-year period, and what that looks like, we looked at 2 main things: age and mileage of the vehicles, and essentially starting in the first year with any vehicle that's over 10 years old that would need to be looked at and replaced, and then we looked at transitioning the fleet over the remaining subsequent 4 years. Thank you. Next slide, please. And so this is the comprehensive fleet analysis that we put together. In the middle right of the screen, you can see savings of $435,000 that we're projecting over 10 years. And as well, just under that, the net annual impact of about $40,000 a year once fully implemented. I'll keep it really high level, there's a lot of numbers on there. But essentially, we looked at your annual purchasing trends, and we then looked at your most recent 12 months of maintenance data and determined your approximate annual fleet budget of that's highlighted in yellow of $189,451. And then following our transitionary plan of 5 years and then showing another 5 years fully implemented, you can see that the overall impact and each annual impact that are showing there. Overall, it's good for us to have a plan, and we always like to have a good plan, but it's not something that it's not a requirement to follow necessarily. There's a lot of changes that happen. COVID is obviously a great example of what's changed in the market. And so our goal is to understand those factors, make any appropriate changes with your team, and just really work with you guys as a partner to try and find the best solutions to improving your overall light duty fleet. And in fact, your staff's already made some recommendations from this initial proposal where we've sought in the first year to make it a little bit, a few vehicles less, and that still has a sizable impact. All of our costs are built into this, and those are costs governed by our procurement agreements through Canoe and the other cooperative sourcing agreements that I mentioned. So all of the costs are included in that. So there's no additional costs or anything that goes into that. So my team and I would appreciate the opportunity to come alongside and partner with the town of Kirkland Lake. I really appreciate your time, and certainly open for any questions.
Thank you. Before I open the table, Sean, do you have anything to add?
Just take a look, and most of the stuff in the report was I think brought up. So just I'm not too sure if everyone knows what the municipal buying program through Canoe is. Basically, what they've done through AMO is they've done an RFP process and found the most competitive fleet management product and company to go with. So that's already done for us. So that's where that comes from. We were also looking at, in the report, we talked about a full maintenance program and just a maintenance program, which we didn't think the full maintenance program would be warranted here. The vehicles are going to be much newer than we usually have. There shouldn't be quite as much maintenance to do on the fleet, and we do have mechanics that we can have to do some of that, suit some of that. So we just mentioned in there that, so for the proposed 2026 budget, there is 3 vehicles in there. I know that no one's seen that yet, but the total amount is $196,000. We figured out the 12 vehicles for 2026 would result in a total cost of $128,940 in leases. So there is a savings there if you were going to buy them outright compared to the lease payments. And I think you saw it discussed there a few times. Yeah, I can just open up for questions.
Thank you, gentlemen. Questions from council? Councillor Dykens?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Comment in the question.
Absolutely.
I like the optimal time to replace. Sometimes I'm following a town truck and I'm wondering if it's gonna make it to the next light. So that's one. This all looks good, but I think I might have missed is there a cost that for you to manage this? So is that in there or?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, Councillor, the cost in that last chart that we showed was the overall cost structure, which included our costs. So we do have a cost that is built into the canoe procurement plan. It's quite lean. And essentially what it looks like is we pay the same price for a vehicle that a dealership would pay for the vehicle. We have a small markup that we put on that, $725. But then we have a management fee, which is built into any vehicles that get leased from us. And essentially that pays for everything. It pays for all the technology, it pays for your dedicated account team, and every part of the program is all built in.
Yeah, I'm just sorry, just for clarification, members of the public can find that information on page 71 of the agenda. So it is a large agenda, so I wanted to make sure that members of the public can find that information afterwards, and please go ahead.
And councillors, yeah, thank you. So again, just for clarification, to you, Madam Mayor. So the projected 10-year savings of 435, 494, whatever, that includes all costs.
There's no additional.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Owen and then Councillor Shattuck.
Through you, your worship. I'm not a big fan of sole sourcing. And we're looking at major costs here. I'm not saying the plan's not necessarily the best. But when I go back to the ratepayers, I want them to know it's the best. Not based on what other people have evaluated, but based on what we get in an RFP. And I'm sure there's other companies that offer similar programs. So I'm not real comfortable with the sole sourcing aspect of this. And that's not a criticism of the program or you, or it's just, we're dealing with public money.
Thank you for that. Councillor Shattuck? Were you gonna speak to that, Matt?
Yes,
CAO Smith will speak to that.
Through Madam Mayor to members of council, maybe we can have the director and our guest this evening just explain more about the canoe and how this has been vetted per se through the procurement process.
Yes, absolutely. Through you, Madam Mayor, and councillors. So the canoe attached to LAS AMO are cooperative buying groups that essentially attach down at Kirkland Lake to basically all of the other municipalities across Canada to increase your buying power. So it essentially gets you, they go through and we went through an RFP process with them already, which we've been awarded. So that actually all of our program has been vetted through LAS and Canoe as the ability to bring professional fleet management services to municipalities across Ontario. And just a comment, if I may, regarding the sole sourcing piece, Councillor Owen, we work with every manufacturer. So it's actually essentially every time you need a vehicle, we're doing a mini RFP for you. So we're going to all the manufacturers on your behalf, and we're essentially getting them to fight for your business. And so it's almost like a reverse RFP, if you think about it that way. But we're not working with any one manufacturer. We're working with multiple manufacturers because we want you to get the best dollar. And all we do is we bring that information to your team. Your team makes the decision on what they want. We're not forcing you guys to purchase a particular vehicle or anything like that. And we don't have, as I mentioned earlier, we don't have any bias to any manufacturer because we work with everybody. If we were a representative of a manufacturer, then of course I would agree that that would not make sense, but we work with everybody. So we bring a non-biased view of all the manufacturers. So we're not actually sole sourcing a particular manufacturer. We're just bringing you all the information and essentially you make the decisions and the staff makes the decisions as to what to do.
Thank you for that explanation. Councillor Shabba?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, thank you very much for your excellent presentation. And I think I know one or two things about fleet, vehicles in fleet. But I do have two questions. One, to follow up with Councillor Owen. And when I first saw this too, I think your cost, the cost of your running this, as you claim, is embedded in this, already part of this. So we're not sure if that cost is competitive or not, because there's nothing for us to compare it to. That's my issue. I mean, I understand that you're going to outsource it to various other places, but it's just that your cost, whatever that would be, the aggregate of that cost, you know, could well be competitive, but we have no way of comparing it to the next guy over there. They say, okay, yes, that will be it. That's my first issue. The other one is I'm not too sure. I guess you guys will not bother with this, but I just think I should just let it out because how do we compensate for human errors? Because in the fleet management, which I have experience in, I mean, when there's an accident with a, you know, someone bump into a guardrail or something like that, is that something that the insurance of the town would take care of? Is something that you guys have to address? Is that part of this, or that's totally outside this? Because I mean, you've got different drivers driving all over the place. Something is bound to happen, you know, to the vehicle. So is that to you enlighten me? How's that? Is it part of this, or this is something else that the town will have to take care of? That's what because that would escalate our costs. To look at repairs, we escalate our costs, but the frequency of accidents too will escalate your costs due to human errors. So anyways,
So
thank you.
through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Shabba, I'll start with the first question there. Again, just going back to the canoe procurement agreement that we have with the canoe procurement, LAS and AMO. They did put out an RFP for fleet management services and we did rank at the highest of that for cost. So from a fleet management comparative cost perspective, we did come in at the lowest cost. So part of why it's easier to work with us is because of that vetting process that we went through with Canoe. And they did all the hard work for you guys. They essentially did a really large RFP to ensure that you guys are taking advantage of the absolute best opportunities out there. And through the recent, over the past several years, as I mentioned, we partnered with about 50 municipalities in Ontario, and we've seen some fantastic results across the board and some really impressive numbers in terms of helping lower costs from the partnership in that. That answer the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then from the second part of your question relating more to the insurance and accident side of it, we do actually have an accident management program. Not to get too much into the details, but essentially we do have the ability, as you can imagine, through our sister company, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, who also has quite a few vehicles that get accidents and there's quite a few. So we have a whole program there to help should there be accidents, but it wouldn't be any different working with us than what you're doing today. So if we get into an accident with a vehicle, you would have a deductible. If you went through your insurance company, it would all be the same. It wouldn't be any different through us or that would actually look like anyone.
Thank you for that. Just before I entertain any more questions, can we just have a refresher for those of us in the room and watching at home, what LAS it actually is?
Just stole my thunder.
There.
I had it right here.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, I can answer that, Madam Mayor. So LAS is the buying portion of AMO, which is the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. And what their whole entire mission is to help improve the purchasing power and the whole contract piece of municipalities, because you guys wear a lot of hats, there's a lot of work. Obviously, just seeing that presentation about planning, you guys have a lot of work in that you guys do. And what they do is they try and take off some of those RFP agreements off your hands and do that on your behalf, and essentially plug all of your purchasing power in the world of that I'm in light duty fleet to all the different municipalities. So it's like instead of you guys just having a fleet of 27 vehicles, it's like you guys have a fleet of 27,000 vehicles. And so you guys get all the benefits that come with that cooperative group. And so that was the tender that I referenced at the start, where we went through, and they are yes, working on your behalf in a variety of things. Hopefully that.
Yeah, I will allow the director to add as well.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to council. Just want to give you an idea. So Canoe actually has multiple products, services that they vetted and went through this with. As a municipality, we go, when we have something to purchase, small, large, we go there first and take a look and see what they have available, kind of things, because it is one of the cheapest purchasing power. And so it's not just for this fleet management, it's for multiple products in terms of big vehicles, paper, whatever you want to say. They have it in the community.
Follow up, Councillor Owens, and then Councillor Major.
Through you, Madam Mayor, you've stolen part of my thunder on that one, because like I had it here, like I just Googled LAS and services, and it says right here, first line, LAS was created in 1992 by the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO. So I'm thinking if we are members of AMO, right?
We are.
So if we pay AMO every year, we send Councillor Owen and the mayor to AMO every year. I think I trust the work AMO is doing on behalf of municipalities in Ontario. I think this is an awesome outside the box way of thinking to approach municipal services. If we can I feel confident approaching the taxpayers saying, you know what, AMO did the homework on this one. So there is something to it, and I believe in changing my vehicle often. I don't like paying repairs, and it's not just a personal preference. The municipality I grew up in swapped 30 some years ago to a government funding program, and it's all their fleet. It's not just the small vehicles, it's plows, it's fire trucks, it's the whole kit and caboodle, and it works for them. So somewhere this not having to purchase a vehicle and getting something new, or you're saving costs down the road. So I think this is a great opportunity for the town of Kirkland Lake.
Thank you for that, Councillor Ranger.
Sorry. Just like track my thoughts. Madam Mayor, I have 2 questions and a comment.
Okay.
So, my first question is actually to CAO or to Sean. Has management spoken with any of these other municipalities that are currently part of this collective purchasing leasing program, and what was the outcome of that?
Actually, I just talked to the CEO before I came in and said I hadn't touched base with any of them. Because we were bringing a report in 2 weeks, I will touch base with a few if that's soon.
Okay. Second question to you, Madam Mayor. You might not be able to answer this question at this point as well, but this is what I would be asking or directing you to look into. What are the issues and concerns you may have with us going with this approach? And then when you speak with these other municipalities that are currently using this service, could you please ask them that question as well? Like, we're seeing all the shiny stuff. I want to see what the potential issues and concerns are. So at this time, do you see any issues and concerns with going with this plan?
To you, Madam Mayor. At this point, I don't. We've been in talks for 9 months. It does look great. in terms of, what it offers. But as you said, I mean, it's worth that reference, to make a call and make sure that things are going well at other places.
And then, and my comment, thank you through you, Madam Mayor. Initially, most of what you were saying, right away, I was going to that, our procurement office and our finance department through AI could easily generate some of this information as to like, when's the golden time to release these orders, but what I'm really highlighting here is the bargaining power of having multiple municipalities and you having that to look at the purchasing power is, to me, the highlight of this type of program. So thank you for the information tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Follow up, Councillor Owens?
Yes, through you, your worship. I've been pushing for fleet management ever since I got on my first term of council. So don't get me wrong. This is something I'm all in favor of, is better fleet management, because I don't believe we're doing a good job of it the way we have it now. Having said that, I'm a little bit confused, and that's probably because this is not an area of expertise for anybody at council. Are we leasing or purchasing these vehicles? Like, because we're talking about purchase price, and then here it says lease, and I'm a little confused on what we're doing.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Absolutely, and I gave you a lot of information, Councillor. So essentially what it looks like is a lease. It's a lease is what it is. But not to be confused with often leases that most people get from a dealership would typically have a mileage restriction or penalty if you go over, or certain damage provisions. Our leases can be structured in many different ways. Our particular lease doesn't have any of those provisions in it. And essentially so we purchase the vehicles for you, but we register and title the vehicles to the town of Kirkland Lake. And you guys are essentially, you use them no differently than you would purchasing your own vehicle. And the real value in the entire program is not just one particular thing. I think Councillor Ranger kind of summed that up nicely. Our goal is to help buy the vehicle for the best price for you guys, sell it at the right time, sell it for the best price. We do own on the sister company side over 2 million vehicles of our own. And so we actually buy and sell the most vehicles in Canada and in across the globe. And our goal is to bring all of that infrastructure to you guys as well. And so not only do you guys have us working on your behalf, buying the vehicles for the best price, selling them at the right time, selling them for the best price, and really trying to improve things like safety and some of the new technologies that come with the newer vehicles. They're advancing every year very quickly. And so our goal is to help provide you guys any advice or any thoughts, any insight into the world of fleet. And we do that through a lot of the existing vehicles that we own.
Follow up?
I'm sure there's in here somewhere, but we had, I don't know, 800 pages to read for tonight's council meeting, whatever. How long is the contract?
So great question through you, Madam Mayor. There is no timeline. It is not actually a contract. We like to refer to it as an agreement. You don't actually have any requirement if we form a partnership to go through us. Our whole model is to earn every vehicle order we get from you guys. And so we don't, let's just say, for example, if you're a couple of years in and you're not seeing the value that you think you should be seeing, we can unwind the partnership, and we're not forcing you to use us. You can go to any, of course, dealerships or whatnot as well. So there is no minimum time to our agreement. It's not like, I know I showed a 10-year model. That's not because you have to work with us for 10 years. It's just to give you more information. And so our goal is not to lock you into a contract. It's to earn your business every single.
One quickie, please, Your Worship. Is there a penalty for backing out of the partnership
Great question. Through you, Madam Mayor. There is no penalties, per se. We actually, if we get to a point of unwinding a partnership, hopefully we get to the partnership first, but if we unwind the partnership, our goal is to help still provide you thoughtful consideration in how we want to do that. And so we'll give you several different options, and most of those options have, there's no penalties at all. Canoe does have a, if you look at, let's just say, purchasing all the vehicles that are left owing from us, Canoe has a specific, it's not quite a penalty, it's just, I believe it's a remaining amount of management fee that's included in there, but that's, it's not actually more so a penalty, it's just it's all listed in the Canoe agreement, and so we don't have all the details right now, but we also provide several options, and most of the options, there's no penalties whatsoever. Not just to terminate, but that also goes for terminating a lease specifically. If you guys are trying to maybe pare back a vehicle or two in the fleet, you can do that with no penalties as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Just, I do want to remind members of council that a supplemental report will be brought back as per the recommendation in the agenda. So we will be hearing more details again at that December 2nd meeting. So please proceed. Director Councillor Dykens, not director, you know. Maybe in the future, you never know. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just, and again, it may be getting a little bit ahead, but in terms of process, so say December 2nd, we say it's all go. We have 27 vehicles. Do we enter it one by one, like when we need to replace a vehicle, or are we required to lease so many off the bat? Again, I don't know what those details, because it would be costly if we had to do all of them.
100% through you, Madam Mayor. So, the second last page shows a 5-year transition. We look at transitioning the fleet over 5 years. We make recommendations based on vehicles that your staff will probably want to already replace just due to age and mileage. So we start with the vehicles that you guys would want to replace first, and then we work through the next 5 years of transitioning the entire fleet. So if you average it out, it works out to about around that 5 a year or so. But it's in and around that. That being said, there's no minimum. It's not like you have to. If we get to a year where you decide not to, that's fine as well. We're not here to, again, as I mentioned earlier, force you guys to do. It's based on a lot of factors, and we just want to do what we can to help you guys.
Follow up.
Really quick follow-up.
Yeah.
So the 5 year, that's a suggestion, not an obligation, the
Correct.
transition?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Nothing further. Just a gentle reminder that AMO does have a website. I am very fortunate because I did travel to conference even last term, so I'm more familiar perhaps with LES and other offerings of AMO. But any council member can just go on to, and members of the public as well. AMO's website is open to the public, and it's a good source of learning, especially for these things. With nothing else being at the table, all in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Thank you very much for your time. Item number 8.3, request for parade permit, KLDCS Santa Claus Parade. This will be brought forth by the municipal clerk, Jennifer Montoy, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen.
Be it resolved that report number 25, EDM 17 entitled Request for Parade Permit KLDCC Santa Claus Parade be received. And that council direct that a parade permit be issued to the Kirkland Lake District Chamber of Commerce for Friday, November 28th, 2025, between the hours of 6:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. And that the costs associated with certain road loaders for the Santa Claus Parade be funded within the Public Works Department's portion of the 2025 town budget. And finally, that the $100 permit fee requirement as established by bylaw 8665 be waived.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, through you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, members of council. The Kirkland District Chamber of Commerce is requesting permission to host their annual Santa Claus Parade on Friday, November 28th. In terms of agency comments and concerns, the Kirkland Lake Detachment of the Ontario Province Police, the town's Departments of Development and Enterprise Services and Fire and Emergency Services all cited no objections with the request. The Department of Public Works cited safety concerns from the previous year's event, as the requesting agency failed to install the road barricades, and the Fire and Emergency Services Department swiftly intervened to install them prior to the parade commencement. And given the safety risk, administration is recommending Public Works staff oversee the installation of the road closure barricades to ensure they are placed and to mitigate any potential safety risks for pedestrians and parade participants. And until such time that the town establishes a road closure policy, the Public Works Department is prepared to absorb the operating staffing costs of approximately $2,200. In terms of the road closure notice, parade volunteers are responsible to coordinate those requests directly with the Public Works Department, who takes on the responsibility in issuing the road closure notice to the public through the town's social media platforms within and with the local media. As noted in the report, historically, all permit fees have been waived. As such, council is being presented with the recommendation to formally the requirement as outlined in that bylaw. The requesting agency is still required to provide the town with a certificate of insurance prior to the event, and permitting the requesting organization to host parade does promote positive community partnership, which is in line with council's strategic objectives and priorities. That is my summary, and I'm available for questions if there are any.
Thank you. Anything from council, questions or comments? Councillor Owen?
Anything to facilitate the arrival of Santa, I'm in favor of, because I can't wait for him to get here.
That being said, all in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Items 8.4, 8.5, and 8.6 have been removed from tonight's agenda. 8.7 has also been, sorry, I am operating off a previous agenda list. I do apologize for that. 8.7 is proposed website refresh project. The
1.7 is a supplemental request to purchase 22-24 government road list and 80.
I thought we told that.
Just the bylaws.
Okay, sorry, I do apologize. We've had several reiterations of the agenda for this evening. 8.7 is in fact supplemental request for purchase 22 and 24 Government Road West and 82 Government Road West. Jenna McNaughton will be presenting. Moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Lad Shava.
Be it resolved that report number 2025-31 entitled supplemental request to purchase 22-24 Government Road West and 82 Government Road West below be received for information, and it schedules J and table J of traffic and parking bylaw number 1517 as amended be further amended to remove the designated municipal parking lots located at 22-24 Government Road West and 82 Government Road West, and find that the amending bylaw be brought forward for 3 readings on December 2nd, 2025.
Thank you for that. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to council. We received a request to purchase back at the May 6th council meeting. So this was for 2 properties at 22 Government Road. The proposal was to construct a mixed commercial residential building. The applicant, Parth Patel, offered $16,000. Second request was submitted by the applicant for 82 Government Road West, with a proposal to construct a commercial building, which he offered $20,000. So we have brought this to the closed meeting May 6th, and this is a supplemental report that is being brought. I'll just go over some of the items, because this was a while ago. So we are looking at the 2 designated municipal parking lots, so we would be recommending that these be removed from our parking bylaw. The property at 22 Government Road West is in our town center commercial zone. The proposed project does meet the criteria set out in the zoning bylaw. The property does have water sewer connections to it. We've had this property in our possession since 2011. 82 Government Road West, again, is in the town center commercial zone, and the proposed project will meet the criteria of the zoning bylaw. The property also has water sewer connections, and we've had this property in our possession since 2005. So we're just looking at, this is just our supplemental report. And as Amber mentioned earlier, we would be bringing back the bylaw, at the next meeting, once we're in possession of those purchase sale agreements.
Thank you for that. Any questions or comments from council? None noted. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, now moving on to 8.8, proposed website refresh project, moved by Councillor Casey and seconded by Councillor Rager.
Be it resolved that report number 2025 ADM 18 entitled proposed website refresh project direct negotiation be received, and council approve the following. One, the direct negotiation with GDH Digital GovStack for the town's website refresh project as identified in the report. The one-time implementation cost for the transition to GovStack CMS platform together with event standard forms, e-commerce and microsite bundle features to the sum of $20,782 will be drawn from the Economic Development Reserve. 3, the annual subscription cost for the e-commerce and microsite bundles features in a combined sum of $3,676 plus HST be drawn annually from the Economic Development Reserve for the duration of the agreement term. And 4, the annual subscription cost for the forms features and the CMS platform in the combined sum of $5,744 plus HST are to be funded through the annual operating portion of the budget for the duration of the agreement term. And that the mayor and municipal clerk be authorized to execute an agreement with GHD Digital to implement the GovStack platform and above noted features for a 36-month term. And 5, that the execution bylaw be brought forward for 3 readings on December 2nd, 2025.
Thank you. This item will be spoken upon jointly between Director Labrador and Municipal Clerk Jen Montroy. Thank you both.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you. Over this term of council, one message has been loud and clear from everyone. It's time to modernize how the town communicates and delivers its services. Building on feedback from the 2024 public engagement survey where residents confirmed the town's official website is their main source of information, staff have been actively exploring better tools and platforms as part of the 2025 corporate business plan. Working together, communications coordinator Laura Durrell, the director of development and enterprise services Dan Laverger, and I have been establishing and refining the town's corporate branding while searching for a modern, progressive online platform to match. Administration is recommending a direct negotiation in partnership with GHD Digital for GovStack, a platform that can seamlessly migrate the town's existing website content, integrate with current and future digital tools and projects, offers e-commerce features like online payments and forms, provides a built-in public engagement hub for surveys, subscriptions, feedback tools, supports community event management with submissions and approval workflows, delivers enhanced accessibility and modern flexible design, improves security and meet current web standards, and enables staff to easily create new websites, landing pages, and microsites for special projects. A key advantage is the ability of possibly creating microsites for current and future partners such as the Kirkland Lake OPP Detachment Board and the Kirkland Lake Public Library Board, potentially lowering implementation costs through a shared use platform. This supports better fiscal management, transparency, and centralized data management over the long term. With robust analytic powered by Google Analytics, the town will also be able to better understand how residents use the website and can continuously improve their online experience. GovStack has a track record of successful implementation, including just north of us, nearby Black River Matheson, making it a strong candidate to support the town's next generation of digital communication and service delivery. Council is being asked to choose how to move forward with the town's web presence, and 2 options have been reviewed. Option 1 was to do nothing, which is status quo, and is not being recommended, as staying with the existing platform would be counterintuitive to deliverables noted by council, which already calls for a website redesign. The current system is difficult for both residents and staff, and the key improvements simply can't be achieved with the current vendor. Those such as better public engagement tools, integrated e-commerce, which is the payment and the e-forms, and public-facing event management. On top of that, the Discover Kirkland Lake website is no longer supported. Moving it under the existing corporate site would be a poor solution for promoting tourism and economic development. Option 2 is to issue a formal RFP, which was also not recommended. Administration is already confident that GovStack can meet both current and future needs. The proposal in front of council offers flexible bundles that directly supports the town's objectives to modernize service delivery and enhance community engagements. Since October, departments have been reviewing and updating existing web content on their existing website, recommending improvements to layout, design, and structure, and while doing so, drawing inspiration from other GHD digital client sites, which is GovStack websites. Given this work and strong alignment with GovStack's capabilities, a full RFP process is seen as unnecessary and unlikely to provide added value at this time. The town's procurement policy normally requires at least 3 quotes for purchases between $25,000 and $100,000 unless a direct negotiation is approved by the CAO. Direct negotiation is allowed when a specific vendor has a special expertise and when it is considered to be in the town's best interests. For the new website platform, administration is recommending a direct negotiation with GovStack instead of a full RFP. Because the platform is complex and offers multiple integrated features, staff requested and received an exemption under the policy so that the town could secure a significant cost savings. GovStack also keeps their quotes open well beyond the usual 30-day window to give staff time to fully review the product and to obtain your approval this evening. Although the project itself was planned in the 2025 budget, the ongoing annual costs were not, so council is being asked to approve a 3-year, 36-month contract with GovStack, including the key add-on, authorize use of the Economic Development Reserve via the Kirkland Lake Tourism Development Corporation for one-time implementation and certain annual subscriptions, and 3, include core annual subscription costs and the administration clerk's operating budget for the next 3 years. In short, while GovStack Solutions represents a more substantial structured investment, it replaces multiple fragmented and underperforming tools with a modern integrated platform, creating opportunities for cost sharing and positions the town for a long-term digital growth and better service delivery. That's my something.
Thank you. Director Labrador, do you have anything to add? Possibly not to direct what directors should be offering, but I know that there is great feedback from the community about a calendar, perhaps.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, to the rest of council, as a seconder on this report, Clerk Montre did a great job in outlining just how we are dealing with a very segmented digital presence right now. And GHD GovStack is a leader in governmental small municipal websites that service, they know the needs. There has been great feedback for the last 2 years about having a centralized community calendar where all residents and visitors alike can access and is self-serve. And this is something that GHD GovStack does offer and really emphasizes the importance of having it on your municipal website.
Thank you for that. Any questions or comments from members of council? Councilor Ranger and then Councilor Dykens.
Thank you. It's just to you, Madam Mayor, it's a comment. You had me at e-commerce. Looking forward to
Absolutely. Councilor Dykens and then Councilor Owens.
Just a comment, to you, Madam Mayor, thank you, it's about time, e-commerce, but also user-friendly, because that's been a consistent, complaint, and this is the information age, we need to be at the top of our, technology, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Owens and then Councilor Kylie.
Here, Madam Mayor, you had me at our websites. That's terrible. Just as a comparison, I went on the Black River Matheson website. It's gonna be 2 seconds to find the agendas. I'm on council and I have a hard time finding them on our website. So it needs to go, and I've done a bit of research on this company, GovStack, and like the director just said, they are a leader in government websites. So I think it's valid for the market.
Thank you. Councilor Kylie.
Yeah, through your worship, based on the pricing, which seems very reasonable, especially for the expertise. I don't think we can do any better with an RFP, so I support this.
Thank you. Councilor Owen.
Through you, your worship, it wouldn't be me if I didn't say I do not like sole sourcing. That to me is not the way to spend public money. Having said that, I'll be the first one to admit I know absolutely nothing about websites. And I have tried to go on our website a few times. And yes, it is not easy to navigate, especially for a person like me. So I will overlook my sole sourcing concern based on the director's recommendations and the recommendation or the endorsement by other counselors who are much more familiar with it. So, yeah, okay, let's go with it.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you very much, both of you. Item number 9.1 has been withdrew, sorry. Item number 10, reading and consideration of bylaws. These have been deferred as noted. Item number 11, notices of motion, 11.1, Councillor Latchava. Do you want to read your motion?
Yes.
Okay.
This motion will seek to have an amendment to section 4A of council's procedure bylaw 25-062. Which the clerk put in. Thank you very much for that. And it's about reinstatement of questions from council to staff in routine order of business for regular and / special meetings.
Thank you, sir. Item number 12, councillor reports and committees of council, local, regional, board updates. Does any member of council have anything to share? Any events in the community, anything that they have attended on behalf of council? Councillor, moved by, because I forget that, Councillor Shava, seconded by Councillor Ranger. Okay, you may proceed, Councillor Rick Owen.
Yes, to you, your worship, thank you. I recently had the honor of laying a wreath along with my wife Charlene on behalf of Trinity United Church at the annual Remembrance Day service. Being the son of a veteran, and this day it holds special reverence to me. My only uncle died in World War II. My dad was chronically ill as a result of his service. Once again, Kirkland Lake showed that they do remember. There was an excellent turnout, people of all ages. Once again, the Legion outdid itself in terms of hospitality after the service and a great deal. It went really well. I had the pleasure of seeing my old friend Alice McKnight. I believe she's in her 90s now. She was a fixture at the Legion since long before I knew where Kirkland Lake was. And what was really nice is she wrote this very moving tribute in remembrance to veterans, which I believe it was John McDonnell read in the lounge afterwards, and it almost like it would move you to tears. It was but to see Alice back in the Legion, and man, she was feisty. She was the old Alice we all know. So yeah, I was very pleased to represent the town at that event, and the mayor, of course, officially represented the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from members of council? Over the last 2 weeks, I've attended various meetings, including a meeting with staff and library CAO regarding items outlined in the MOU. In my role as board chair, I attended services at the Legion for both Indigenous Veterans Day and Remembrance Day. I met with the CAO of Blanche River Health, members of the Arts Festival volunteers, celebrated Louis Riel Day with members of the Métis Council, and attended the annual tabletop exercise and meeting of the emergency management team, as well as met with developers, and finally attended the lighting of the Tree of Hope at the OPP detachment in Kirkland Lake. Lastly, I do want to acknowledge, I'm sure most of, if not all of us, continue to receive many concerns surrounding the rollout of the new garbage contract via phone, email, on the street, every time we turn around. Though there has been challenges and changes in the level of service for some within the community, we've been assured by staff that they are working diligently with our contractors to begin to provide the quality of service we've come to expect as we move forward. Saying that, I continue to encourage all members of council to go to the, all members of the public to go to the town website, fill out the service delivery requests. And if you cannot, or do not have access to the website, please pick up the phone and call Public Works. With the phone numbers that are provided. So that is the first step to having your issues or any issues, whether it be garbage or any other issues with the town, effectively communicated with. Please do the service delivery review or call Public Works. Thank you for that. You can read the. Oh, yes, Councillor Kiley. Absolutely.
Your worship, can I comment on the
Absolutely.
garbage contract?
Yes.
So far, I'm quite impressed. And actually, what they've been doing is people who weren't using the recycling services have been given free blue pickup bins. So it should help with recycling and as far as stuff not being thrown in the garbage and going out to landfill site. So I think that's a very positive approach right out of the gate. So
Yes, thank you for that addition. That's outside of municipal purview now, but definitely seeing more blue bins around the community is a good thing. So thank you for that. You may read the recommendation.
And be it resolved that the verbal updates from members of council be received.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 12, item number 13, proclamations and moved by Councillor Ranger and seconded by Councillor Shaba. Proclamations and recognitions. Item number 13.1, International Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women, November 25th, 2025 proclamation. Whereas violence continues to be the greatest gender inequality rights issue for women, girls, and gender diverse individuals. And whereas November is Women Abuse Prevention Month, and whereas November 25th, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and whereas femicide rates are on the rise in Ontario, with over 62 femicides occurring in Ontario in 2024, and whereas our community is committed to ending femicide and all forms of gender-based violence, and whereas Indigenous, Black, South Asian, and Southeast Asian women and girls continue to experience higher rates of violence, including femicide, and whereas last year in Ontario, an average of 6 days a woman or child is lost due to femicide, and whereas in 5 of the last 6 years, at least one person from the district of Timiskaming was the victim of femicide. And whereas this month and throughout the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, we acknowledge our community's support in the Wrapped Encourage campaign and commitment to ending gender-based violence. And whereas there is an urgent need for greater investment and action to end gender-based violence in our community and throughout Ontario. And whereas it is recognized that the courage of a woman alone is not enough. It takes the entire community to end gender-based violence. Now, therefore, I, Stacey White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim November 25th, 2025 as International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women in the Town of Kirkland Lake, and urge all citizens to recognize this day by acting to support survivors of gender-based violence.
Be it resolved that council sanction the proclamation for International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, November 25th, 25 in the Town of Kirkland Lake.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 14, additional information and mayor's provincial policy matters. There are none to bring forward this evening. Right now, we'll take a 10-minute recess before moving on. We will now rise from recess to move into closed, moved by Councillor Dyken, seconded by Councillor Kiley. Okay.
Be it resolved that council adjourn in camera pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, labor relations or employee negotiations, and a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board at 6:37 PM for the following reasons. Item 15.1, request to purchase 4 Young Avenue, 5 King Street, 11 and 15 Comfort Street, and 125 Taylor Avenue. Item 15.2, request to purchase mining claim L5941, North Park mining claim L2880, lots 1 to 57 of plan M1470 and surrounding streets and laneways. Item 15.3, supplemental QP Local 26 union negotiations, and items 15.4, verbal report, council appointments to the Kirkland Lake Public Library Board.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimously. We will now rise from closed session, moved by Councillor Casey Owens and seconded by Councillor Pat Kiley.
Be it resolved that, be it resolved that council reconvene in open session at 7:42 PM.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Any items of pecuniary interest rising from closed? None noted at the table. Item number 16.1, appointment to Public Library Board. Moved by Councillor Dykens, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens.
Be it resolved that Councillor Ranger be appointed to the Kirkland Lake Public Library Board for the remainder of this term of council.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 17, notices of reconsideration. Does any member at the table wish to have any item decided at this meeting reconsidered this evening? None noted. Item number 18, confirmation bylaw, 18.1, bylaw number 25-078, moved by Councillor Dykens, seconded by Councillor Ranger.
Be resolved that the following bylaw be read a first, second, and third time numbers passed, signed, and sealed. Bylaw number 2578 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council at its meeting held Tuesday, November 18th, 2025.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. I move for adjournment, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens. Thank you, everyone.